This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. Episode 93, recorded February 2nd, 2017. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I am your host, Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is Will.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about Riverdale. We're going to be talking about Taboo, and we're going to be talking about the Magicians. So Riverdale just started. Taboo has been, it's rolling into its third episode now, and the Magicians just had its second episode of the season. So let's kick things off with Riverdale, the first episode titled Chapter 1, The River's Edge. So, what do you think of Riverdale, initially? Like, just from your expectations of what you knew about it going in?
Okay, so my expectations about going in, my expectations were this was going to be Twin Peaks light, or, Twin Peaks, for teenagers or something. I don't know. I knew this.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, Tween Peaks. I knew that this wasn't going to be a traditional Archie, like the Archie comics, because I started following the project when it was announced, and they were definitely talking about doing something a lot more Twin Peaks than Archie.
Oh yeah, Twin Peaks, the name Twin Peaks was brought up so many times.
Yeah, it was. and so I honestly didn't know what to expect or to think going in. I was honestly expecting it to be awful. To be honest, I was like, yeah, this is probably gonna just try way too hard and end up being awful. But it was actually pretty good, and this comes from somebody who was not a big fan of either Archie comics or teen dramas in general. Mm-hmm. And I actually liked it. A lot of people, I know there's a lot of criticism about there being so many teen soap opera tropes in there, but the thing is, they used them, but it was very self-aware, to the point where the characters even pointed out the tropes and mocked them as they were happening. Yeah. So, the acting was good. Everything was fine about it. I ended up liking it. What about you?
Yeah, I did like it as well. I think the real trick that they pulled was that all they did was talk about Twin Peaks, because they knew if they didn't, that everybody else would.
Everybody else
if Greg Berlanti wasn't out there saying, we're doing this kind of like Twin Peaks, everybody would be like, hey, look at them, they're trying to rip off Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But the real surprise they pulled was that there's a lot of elements of other things in there too. I mean, I can see a little bit of Veronica Mars in there. I can see a little bit of Dawson's Creek in there. You know, a lot of other kind of classic shows that hit kind of different areas and stuff. So a lot of that's in there. And I think that's kind of what ended up impressing me about the show, is that it does have a little bit of Twin Peaks. Of course, probably the most Twin Peaks thing is just kind of the weirdness of the town, when it's the opening moments of the episode are probably the most Twin Peaks part of the thing, and then it kind of starts diverging a little bit from that. It has a little bit of that weirdness to it, but it's not really trying to be like Twin Peaks so much as it is just kind of being this amalgamation of these different kind of tropes, like you said, but not just of these bad teen soap tropes, but of stuff that's been really good and beloved. Dawson's Creek was a teen show, but it's looked back fondly upon, and there's some Dawson's Creek element in there. And Veronica Mars had teen tropes and stuff as well, but it's looked back upon very fondly. And there's some Veronica Mars in there too. So I think that's kind of what ended up impressing me.
I like the fact that right off the bat, Betty and Veronica are friends, and that they just didn't just pit them against each other, that classic love triangle, which is still there, which is still in part of the show, but it's not I guess they did a really good job of handling it. I thought it was pretty funny how they found a way for Archie to go to the dance with both of them.
They also pointed out, like, they also made it like Veronica came out like overtly flirting with Archie.
Yes.
And like very well aware that Archie was flirting with her, and still became friends with Betty. And Betty knows that there's an attraction between the two of them. That's all like acknowledged. Like it's not like this like brewing under the surface. It's like it's kind of being talked about and acknowledged throughout the show.
Right, exactly.
Which I think is like a good sign, because it's, you know, you look at Berlanti's other shows like Arrow and Flash and stuff, and like when secrets come into play and they feed into like
it's bad. And the romance drama and like all this superhero stuff, it gets bad.
It's so like puritanical in those shows. It's so like this kind of idea of like, oh, I suddenly completely fell head over heels in love with this person, and now somebody else likes them. I might as well just kill myself, you know? Like it's got this weird, like I said, like puritanical or like, you know, very angsty kind of view of like sexuality, whereas like Riverdale is kind of seems a bit more of its time, in that, you know, like there's this kind of acknowledgement of like, it's not like, oh, you have to ask him out or somebody else will have him. It's like, no, he's probably already dated other people, and that assumption's already in there. It's not like there's like it's too late now kind of like pressure isn't there.
The pressure isn't there because it's like it's like because it's more mature in that way. I guess you could say. That being said, Team Betty or Team Veronica?
I'd go Team Veronica.
Yeah, me too. I was like, the scene where Veronica walked into the diner, I think I had the exact same reaction Archie had. Like, it was immediately like, Betty who?
Or how about Team Veronica?
Yeah.
Team Veronica.
Oh, yeah, Team Veronica.
Because they even hinted at that. The love triangle went multiple directions.
Yeah, it went multiple directions. They even hinted at that there could be that possibility for romance, too. I mean, Tumblr is already furiously shipping it. So there's that.
What did you think about Jughead as like a framing device in the series?
I thought that was neat. Yeah, I did like that. Having Jughead be the narrator, having him be the framing device was really cool. They didn't do much with his character other than have him like be the narrator for the story. So I'm hoping we get more with him in the next episode. Maybe have him actually be part of the story going forward. Because that's what I would like to see. So but using him as the framing device was really cool. I don't know if that's going to be like constant throughout the series or if that was just for the opening. We'll have to see about that.
Another thing I think I really dug in this was the way they handled it's an old trope, but they handled it very differently, which is the gay best friend character like hooking up with like a football player. Yeah. Like a macho football player guy. But normally that's always like, you know, the gay guy's into it because there's like a hint of danger to it. The football player like desperately wants to keep it a secret, you know, and it's like this closeted thing or something. And there's still like a tiny element of that, but it's tiny. It's not like, oh my God, nope. You know, like they find a body and it's not like the first thing that, you know, the football player yelled wasn't like, I can't let them know I was here with you, you know, like, which is like what you typically like expect is that would be like the first thing to come to mind or something. So I kind of dug that they worked around that too, that they kind of like handled it more in a way where like, yeah, it is kind of a secret relationship or something, but it's not like the gay guy's like keeping it a secret from his friends. Straight up said it, you know, to one of his friends at the dance. And then like the guy kind of like makes a joke about it to the football player as he's walking by with his friends, and the football player's kind of like feels a little embarrassed, but that's like it. Like it's not like he's like, you know, starts beating him up or something to try to keep a secret, which would be like the old trope.
Yeah, like the old trope. Again, it uses a lot of tropes, but it subverts them. Apparently, apparently some people like, apparently the criticisms I see is like, it uses common tropes pretty liberally, and it seems like a mishmash of various teen dramas, and I'm like, that's all very much on purpose. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
that would be like criticizing Lost for having very specific character archetypes at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but that was intentional. You're supposed to like form opinions of, like Sawyer and who Sawyer is and who Jin is and who all these people are, and then get to know them and change your expectations of those characters. So yeah, it's like, I remember seeing those complaints when Lost first came out, like the first episode first came out, not like first season. And people were like already like, oh, these character archetypes are so basic. And it's like, yeah, but they're supposed to be, so that you can instantly relate. You can instantly go, oh, okay, I know who this guy is. And then they could subvert that later. So yeah, already in the first episode, they're already subverting on Riverdale. Right. So this is already better than Berlanti's other shows in that regard.
Yeah, this is already better. This episode was written and directed by Roberto Aguirre Sacara, I think is the guy's name.
What's his, what's in his resume?
His resume is I think, I know he did like, the comic books. He's written comic books for Marvel. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know this. I know he's written a lot of comic books for Marvel Comics. He's written his own comic book, The Middleman, which also...
Oh, okay, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yep.
The Middleman is something I know.
Okay, yeah.
There was a TV show.
There was a TV show based on that, yeah. And it turns out he's also now the chief creative officer of Archie Comics.
Oh. So he was, if it's who I think it is, and it's because The Middleman makes me think it is, because I remember when that came out, he actually was a writer on the first season of Lost, too.
Oh, okay, yeah. It turns out I don't think it's the same person, actually, because according to Wikipedia, neither is on his resume. No, it turns out he's worked on Marvel Knights, Nightcrawler, Sensational Spider-Man, Dead of Night featuring Man-Thing, Archie Meets Glee, Afterlife with Archie, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. For television, he's done Big Love as a staff writer, Glee.
Big Love was a really good show.
Glee as a staff writer, Looking as a writer. He's done Supergirl for the first season of Supergirl, 3 episodes of that, and now Riverdale.
So I guess, is he the showrunner now on Riverdale?
I think it's according to Wikipedia, he's the showrunner, writer, executive producer.
Okay. So yeah, he's that gives me confidence, because if the pilot episode if the guy who wrote the pilot is the showrunner for the series, which is oftentimes the case, in this case that means good things for Riverdale's future.
He's the showrunner of the series, and he's also the chief creative officer at Archie Comics, so he should know the material. So yeah, that gives me confidence too.
It's only a matter of time until a bunch of exploding Christmas presents get attracted to each other and sent up into the sky to blow up. Either that or somebody freezes a laser.
Yeah, I know.
So only a matter of time. And then when Felicity shows up and ruins the whole thing. It's another Olicity, except it starts with an A for Archie.
Yeah, Archicity. Yeah. Archie starts dating Felicity, and then both Betty and Veronica get killed. And then Felicity announces, but I'm not going anywhere.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. Did you watch last week's episode of Arrow with Laurel?
Yeah, I'm up to date on that. Yeah.
I think maybe we should take a detour and bitch about that a little bit, because wow, what an amazing insult that episode was. That was just like the writers getting their revenge on anybody who loved Laurel in favor of in favor of Olicity. That was like a total pro Olicity episode. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. It just took a giant crap on Laurel. It, propped up Felicity even more. And man, it was like almost mean in the way, like it just because, okay, okay, so it's not really Laurel, it's Black Siren. I had already kind of guessed this, but I didn't know that was going to be used to like just completely denigrate her role on the show. Because the way they have it, they were like, okay, so it's evil Laurel. Felicity is the one who figures this out. Oliver starts being completely stupid over Laurel. And they make Oliver so stupid in this episode, it's unbelievable. And to the point where the only person thinking straight is Felicity. Again, Felicity, yeah, I'm like, what? And then like, and they make like Felicity like evil Laurel's like number one nemesis, like right off the bat. Like Felicity knows what's going on, and Oliver's like so confused and I'm like, okay, this is really stupid. And then Felicity, like, there's a scene where Felicity like punches out evil Laurel, like very symbolic of the whole Felicity versus Laurel Olicity thing. Like I guess the writers really want to hammer home that Felicity is the OTP for Oliver. And then at the end of the episode, they destroy Laurel's statue completely. And then they ask Oliver if he's going to rebuild it, and he's just like, nah, screw that. He's like, are you going to rebuild it? And he's like, nah, we're going to find a new Black Canary. And then they introduce somebody like nobody ever seen before. She's the Black Canary now. Like, wow, this is like really stupid and insulting. And why did you leave us with a cliffhanger for like over a month teasing Laurel's return, and then have it followed up by like, it just felt like a giant anybody who was a fan of Laurel and Black Canary, that just felt like giant middle fingers like being waved at you. It was like, okay.
Well, that's been the case for Arrow, has been flipping the bird to the fans of the show that actually are rational for years now. So I've kind of lost any expectation that they're going to do anything right on that show. I will say that this week's episode of Arrow has the coolest Flash cameo ever.
Oh, really?
Great Flash cameo. It's funny. Just the way it was used was funny. I kind of cracked up when it happened. You'll see when you get to watch it.
When I get to watch it, if I don't quit Arrow completely, because I'm like so disgusted with them right now. Like, I don't even know how they could do that. Like, okay, everything in that episode was bad enough, but the fact that was a follow-up to like that cliffhanger, like they left us with that tease for so long just to come back and say, haha, psych, fuck you. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's stupid. It's no good. Let's move on though. Let's move on from Berlanti entirely.
Let's move on to something enjoyable. Well, Riverdale was enjoyable, but I had to rant about Arrow because I don't think an hour of that show insulted me as much as this hour did. I was like, my jaw was kind of on the floor the whole time, so I was like, I really wanted to rip into it. Okay.
Mission accomplished. So let's go into Taboo. So we're going to be talking about episode 3. So you haven't watched this week's, right? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't watched 4. I've just watched episode 3.
Okay, good. When you said you watched it today, I got a little nervous. I'm like, oh wait, did you watch the episode 4? Because I haven't. So episode 3, that's what we're going to be talking about. So this episode, it shows James, who is Tom Hardy's character. We always just call him Tom Hardy, though.
I know.
In more of a vulnerable position after what happened in episode 2.
Oh yeah, he got stabbed. So he's being stitched back up. He's being stitched back up by the American spy that we saw. But it's not because the spy is his friend or anything. As we find out that he's actually actually trying to use his position to gain some power over Tom Hardy, to get Tom Hardy to acquiesce to his demands. Or James. Let's start calling him James. Okay? It's not Tom. I mean, it really sounds like we're denigrating the show when I keep calling him Tom Hardy. I'm sorry. I don't mean
to. Calling him.
Yeah.
Only after you've stitched me up, then do you have my permission to die.
Yes.
No, but yeah, we get to see him kind of in a little bit of a weakened position. We also get to see him, sticking up for his could-be stepmom. Basically saving her life.
Yep.
And kind of telling her what's up. You know, like he could have come across as basically like, you came in as this distraction to me, which is kind of how she sees herself, as like she's gonna wreck shit up and, you know, fight for what's her position and screw him over in the way. And he's like, no, he doesn't have any ill will about that at all. Like, he just doesn't care. It's, he knows that she is somehow connected to his dad. And if it is the case that she was indeed married to him, then he's perfectly fine with helping her out and being there
right.
in like honoring of his dad. So it kind of like shows like this less animalistic side of his character.
Right. Exactly.
In doing that. So.
Yeah, totally. No, it's like, yeah, the stuff she thinks he cares about, he doesn't care about. He cares about his plan for revenge, and that's really all he's fixated on at this point, to the point where his only concern about her is whether or not she's going to be a liability to that, or she's going to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is everything else like she's doing or is not of any great concern to him. He just doesn't want her to be in the way or to be a liability to him and what he's doing, and that's what he's worried about.
And that comes through in his interactions with other people too. He goes into a what seems to be kind of like a gay brothel or a gay club of some sort, and runs into Godfrey, who's in like who's cross-dressing. I don't want to say in drag because that's different. He's from like the East India Company, and so he's blackmails him, but he's not like rubbing it in his face and acting like he's disgusted by him or something. Like, he genuinely does not care about his lifestyle. He's like, I have like no concern about it, no judgment, nothing. I just have something to use over you, so I'm going to.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not only am I going to use this on you, but I'm not going to use it on you and leave you to the wolves. Like, I'm using it on you, and now you're also under my protection. Which is just another interesting aspect of his character, that he's so single-mindedly driven on revenge, but he's not willing to hurt people that don't deserve it.
He's not cruel. Probably only cruel to the people that he wants to get revenge on. Yeah, but yeah, he isn't gonna like hurt people for the sake of it.
We got to see Winter again in this episode.
Yeah.
That is the child of the madam that had that kind of weird scene with him before. We find out she was kind of just hanging out in his basement, I guess. His like water-filled basement or whatever, and he ends up talking to her and trying to get her out of there because it's like a dangerous place to be. And so I just think it's really interesting this episode focused on like this kind of gentler side of his character. Like, kind of, you could say. Like, he's still not a gentle character, but it was focusing on like this kind of his protective nature of these people, where he's not necessarily going out of his way to protect them, but he's trying to like say, hey, you know, I used information from you, but now you should probably get away from me, not because I hate you or anything, but because you're gonna be in serious shit if you're around me.
Right, definitely.
So what are you thinking about this show as it's moving forward, the way it is right now?
Oh, it's great. It continues to be great. This is every bit as good as P.E. Blinders. I think the Stephen Knight guy is on to something.
I think I like this more than Peaky Blinders.
I think I do too. This is such a good show. Like, damn.
I like the setting. I like the kind of weird witchy angle it's got. And Peaky Blinders had that a little bit because of the gypsies. Right. But it was more like they all knew it was bullshit. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it was like the gypsies knew it was bullshit, and the blinders knew it was bullshit. And they all kind of did, but like there's still kind of a superstition there. Whereas this is played off kind of like there is something maybe else. This is played off
kind of like there is something, maybe there isn't something, but like characters like James certainly has faith in it. So it's not like, so it's not played off as bullshit, because even if it is bullshit, the characters have faith in it. That kind of leads you, the viewer, to have faith in it, or to suspect that there might be something more to it, even if it ends up that there's not. I like that aspect of it. I like that how they present that. Like it could be bullshit or it could not be bullshit. We're gonna leave that vague, and then we're just gonna give you the view. We're just gonna show that through the viewpoints of the characters, and maybe let you, the viewer, come to a conclusion about that. That's really cool.
This episode also left us with very little doubt. They haven't outright confirmed it, but this is like late season 1 Westworld, like as far as like all but stated kind of category about a relationship occurring between James and his sister. It's out there in the open. It just nobody said it. You know,
right.
Nobody's officially stated it.
James' relationship with his sister. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty obvious now. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is like she straddles him and they kiss like very, you know, like it wasn't like a peck on the cheek. It was like very much this is the beginning of a sexual encounter type thing, you know, like except
that's exactly what I mean. It's like in everything but actual outright words.
Yeah.
They didn't have like James after the moment say, "This is like the last time that we had sex," and we actually did have sex, and I'm not using it as a metaphor of any kind.
Right.
We had sex.
We had sex. Yeah, this is like, okay.
In like everything but that, it's like confirmed. It's kind of like the whole like Man in Black theory with Westworld, where it's like you reached a certain point where it was so obvious, but they just hadn't spelled it out yet completely. I mean, and that's kind of like what I feel about this.
Did they have sex in the past? I don't know. That scene, that was just an innocent kiss between a brother and a sister. If you're reading anything else into it, you're reading way too much into that, because I don't know.
Suddenly I'm kind of interested in your family life.
Perfectly normal.
So that was put out. We also got to see like just how much of an ass her husband is. Basically coming to James and relaying how he basically like, even though they're married, it like all but like confirms he rapes her despite them being married because she deserves it. And like he enjoys punishing her, and like this kind of like shit that he's like expelling upon James, and James just sitting there and taking it the whole time without showing any like hints of like real aggression.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is like, it's a part of his amazing character in that we would have him enter a room that was purely innocent and people would be scared to death that in any instant he could just flip out and kill them. And here we have somebody taunting him right in his face and he's completely showing no reaction to it.
Yeah, he's completely stone-faced. Like, what part of what I love about his character is, like this guy, he hates James so much. You know, he's so incensed by James. So he's gonna sit here and he's gonna throw barbs and mock James and try to hurt his feelings or do whatever. And James is just like, he looks more bored than anything, you know? It's like, he's like, okay.
I'm not even mad, brah.
I'm not even mad. Not mad. Don't care. Do not care. He's like, look at his watch. He's like, okay, you done yet? No. Shit. I got revenge plans, you know.
He's all, if you really want to, I could kill you.
Yes.
I kind of just want to get on my way with this stuff, you know? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Can you just kill yourself and save me some trouble?
Yes, that's the aspect of his character I love, because like to date, nobody seems to be able to get under his skin.
Yeah.
It's as if he has no skin with which to get under, because he doesn't care about anything except for the plan that he's working on. So, like, and it's literally does not care about anything. So he does not care about his feelings, you know? So you can't hurt his feelings if he doesn't give a shit about them. You know, so...
He's singularly focused in, like, a really kind of unique way.
In a unique way, yeah. Which really makes his character unique. Really love this show.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching. Like, I was gonna watch the next episode tonight, but I thought, you know, we weren't gonna be talking about it, and I didn't want to be ahead.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't want to try to hold back what I'm talking about, you know? Like, so I'm gonna probably watch it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So, let's move on from Taboo. Let's talk about the Magicians. So this right now, like, I don't know if I like Taboo more or the Magicians more right now.
They're very different shows, so I can safely say I'm enjoying them equally. Because they're so different in tone and stuff. Taboo is very serious. There's no comedy in Taboo, really. And you could say that, like, I don't even think any of the characters so much as made a joke in the whole thing. If there's humor in there, if there's any humor, it's very much subtle and just basic and probably an accident of the way the characters behave or interact.
Mm-hmm.
But The Magicians is a show where they very while it is serious and the stuff happening is serious, there's a very liberal sprinkling of humor to top it off, like levity to balance it all out. And
there are 2 stars of the show in this episode, which we're going to be talking about season 2, episode 2, Hotel Spa Potion. So there's 2 kind of MVPs, I feel, in this episode. One is the Beast, who continues to be amazing, and in this episode has decided that he wants to pursue his dreams as a Broadway musical star.
Yeah, he keeps
in the middle of the episode.
He keeps singing throughout the whole episode, and it's like hilarious. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then I'm like, why is the Beast being funny? I don't know. He just keeps singing.
It's like funny but like creepy at the same time. He's still imposing, but it's funny just because it's just so ridiculous, you know? But it makes sense if you think about his character, you know? Like, that's how he'd probably be. He's this like damaged child that like got rid of his empathy basically. So of course he still has these kind of like childlike fascinations with whimsy and stuff with things like that, but
yeah, I think
doesn't have emotions about it.
I think we're learning more and more that in a lot of ways he is a child. Like he eats up sugary sweets like there's no tomorrow. That's another thing I noticed in this epised. He loves sweets. Yes.
He loves sweets. He loves watching children play.
Yeah.
And he loves brutally murdering people.
Yeah, he loves brutally murdering people. So in a lot of ways he is very much still a child, which is interesting.
He's like a child with a magnifying glass standing over an anthill.
Yeah.
So the other MVP of this episode would be Elliot.
Yes, Elliot.
Who's now taken over completely in position now as the king, and that's more than just in title now. He's actually taking on the role and taking on the job, and he's learning very quickly that people in Fillory really they don't know how to do anything. They're so accustomed to magic that they have no idea how to do anything without it.
Right.
And now that the Beast has sapped so much of the magic from Fillory, he's basically having to tell them how to do, like, you know, the fact that they need to fertilize plants for them to grow. And this is taking Elliot to a dark place because, you know, he grew up on a farm, and as a gay kid growing up on a farm, this is something he's put behind him that he doesn't want any part of anymore. This is his, like, you know, homophobia past, basically.
It's his homophobia past, yeah. He didn't outright spell it out, but he really implied that growing up as a gay kid on the farm was not good times. You know, so, yeah.
It's more than just boredom, which is there too. Like, he hates the smell, he's bored of the activities of it, and all that stuff is there as well, but it's more than that. It goes beyond that.
Yeah, it goes beyond that.
So he went from wanting to be the king of champagne to being known as the king of shit.
Yeah.
Because he just somehow fertilized plants. So I thought that was kind of funny and tragic in like a funny way.
Yeah, that was funny, and yeah, I thought Elliot's entire arc this episode was hilarious.
Where Elliot and the Beast intersect is that we find out that the Beast had placed a curse on the throne of that for the High King of Fillory. And we know now that, Elliot, basically they finally got into the throne room. There was a horrible smell in there. And it's like previous kings of Fillory just dead. Their corpses in the throne room.
And then we get the Beast explaining that nobody has actually, the Beast explained it like it was a test, since he himself could not assume the throne of Fillory because Ember and Umber made it so that he couldn't. He cursed it, and he cursed it with what he calls a test, a puzzle for would-be kings of Fillory to figure out. And he's like, and to date nobody has, so they're all dead.
This is very similar to, we've talked before about how this entire series, the book series that this is based on, sprang up of the author being sick of waiting for the next Harry Potter book. There's something very Harry Potter about that, and that in Harry Potter it was always every year they had a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Because we find out later on in the book series that it's basically because Voldemort wanted the position and he cursed it when he didn't have it. Oh. And so it's always, something's always going wrong in that position. Like, it's not necessarily the people will die, but something happens. Nobody retains that position for more than a year. Since Voldemort, was turned down for the job, basically. So this strikes, it's very similar to that. It seems almost like an homage to that, I think. The kind of idea of like a crucible of like, the kings, they don't last very long because it's a cursed position.
Right.
But I really like it. I like the way that worked in Harry Potter, and I like the way it works here too. I'm worried for Elliot because he's probably my favorite character on the show. But I like the way that they're handling it in the story with it. I like that he's having a hard time navigating being king with people like basically doing what he wants them to do, and then him kind of coming to the realization that they're only doing that because he's the king. So he wants to have like a giant orgy.
Yeah, he wants to have a giant. That's hilarious. And his wife is like, what?
She points out to him that the reason they're naked and willing to do what he's saying is because he's the king. And once that reality sets in for him, he's like, oh, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah, he's like,
so at least you can give that to Elliot. He's not like Caligula,
Yeah, he's not like Caligula. Yeah, once he realizes they're doing it because he's the king, it's suddenly not so appealing anymore. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, this actually sucks. Never mind.
So this episode had the group returning to Fillory, and we had a lot of developments. Not to Fillory, from Fillory. They do return to Fillory again, but at the end of last episode, they left Fillory.
They went back to Breakthrough. They're looking for they're looking for the battle magic spell that can destroy the beast.
And we get to meet another species this time, because they've had a few, and
Sprite.
This time we meet a pixie professor.
Oh,
a
Pixie,
sprite.
that's right, yeah.
Professor Bigby,
Yeah,
who was the teacher of battle magic and took away the battle magic books and hid them.
Well, she was fired. She was fired when they decided they no longer wanted a battle magic class. And then she, I guess, as the way he put it, she disagreed. She disagreed vigorously and was fired.
Mm-hmm. So she hid some battle magic. She hid a book on it. They find the book after many trials and puzzles, which just kind of made me laugh because some of it was just so stupid. It was just it wasn't even oh, we need to pass this trial. It was just this damn pixie. These annoying tests. But they get through it. They find the book hidden in a book called Hotel Spa Potions, which is what the episode title comes from. And when they do that, they go into the book, but the pages that have this powerful spell that they need are gone. So that means they have to track down the professor herself. Not really an issue. They find her very quickly. They find her address. Margot ends up interpreting that she's in Long Island, because what did it say? An island of streets or something?
Yeah.
And so she finds out like, oh no, Rhode Island, not Long Island, I'm sorry. She so figures out, oh, Rhode Island, you know? They end up finding out where she is, they get there, we find out she's just like, it seems like every time we meet like adults in the magical world, like they're just like horny all the time.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So like Alice's parents and their like orgy parties and stuff, and here we have Bigsby just like all over the headmaster of the school. But yeah, so she ends up kind of giving the battle magic to Alice, and she tells them that when she uses it on the beast, everybody has to be like well away from, because like nothing in that area is going to survive.
Right.
From the impact. It's like a nuclear option, you know, like everybody else out of the way.
You gotta be like 20 feet away, because everything within 20 feet away going to get annihilated unless they're stronger than the beast, like Alice is supposed to be when she pulls off a spell. So like they explain, Alice will be fine because technically she's stronger than the beast with all juiced up the way she is. But everybody else, including the beast, dead. So like stay the hell away.
And so then we get the dean of the school says he's actually been hiding stuff himself.
Yes.
He has his own weapons that he can help them with, and ends up going into like a scarification tattooing process on their backs. This like elaborate symbol, and then they find out even more painfully they have these things called cacao demons.
I love this. This to me was like almost like their take on Pokemon now or something, because they have these they have these creatures now that they can summon. Apparently it's a one shot. They can only summon it once, and it's to distract the beast long enough for them to pull off a spell. But yeah, they're cacao demons, so they're like summons, creatures that they can summon. And oh geez, and it's brutal. because they don't get these things in a Pokeball.
Yeah, they keep them in their tattoos on their backs.
Yeah, so they have the tattoos on the backs, and I guess the purpose of the tattoos is those are runes that's supposed to contain the demon, because they actually, now you got I gotta explain this, because so the demon, it actually looks like a fire spirit, because they pull it out of a bed of hot coals, and it looks like one of those coals, like until it unrolls itself, and then you see like flashes of like lava and stuff in its body. So you already know this thing is very, very hot. Okay, and they take this very, very hot creature, and they just put it on their backs, and it burrows into them. So you can imagine how painful that
very
is.
painful.
And it's funny because like they're given when they're tattooing the runes on their backs, like that's very painful itself. And then the headmaster said, "Oh, that's not even the most painful part." And Margot's like, "Real? Are you serious?"
Well, he said, "And now time for the painful part." That's
yeah, that's right. And now time for the painful part. And she's like, "Are you serious?" Because like she was screaming during like the tattooing. So it's like
more than tattoo. It's almost like scarification, where they're like, it's like worse than just a simple tattoo.
Yeah,
there's something else going on there.
Tattoo, that looks very painful. And then he says, "Now for the painful part," and they're not kidding. Like that's bad. Like, and all that pain for something that's just going to be like a one shot and it's done. Oh Jesus! But that was interesting.
So Quentin goes and talks to Julia and basically confesses their plan that they're going to kill the beast. And she initially reacts very hostily to this, saying, "You can do whatever you want once he's killed Renard, but until then, you don't do shit, or like I'll attack you. I'll come after you like harder than you can imagine."
Right.
And Quentin's like, "Bitch." Like, I told you to be nice.
Yeah, he was basically like, he's like, basically, I came to warn you and you're threatening me?
And so she ends up telling Quentin about the curse that the beast placed on the castle, or the throne, I should say.
What she knows about it, which is just that there's a curse on the throne because the beast was not very liberal with the details. You know.
So with that information, with being all juiced up and everything, they head back and come back to Fillory and greet King Shit.
Yeah, and that's how the episode ends.
We also had, let's see, what else we have going on. So we had Marina was back in this episode.
Yes.
So,
yes, that's right. We find out that Renard he's very specifically going after hedge witches. Like, so all the hedge witches, including her, are in danger. And she's first, Julia and the Beast kidnap her to use her as bait. She doesn't like that. She rejects that. She runs away. She tries to concoct her own plan to deal with Renard.
She gets in touch with another head of the hedge witches on the West Coast.
Yeah.
She's on the East Coast, so it's like the head of like the West Coast hedge witches.
Yeah.
But when she gets there, she's already dead.
Renard has already gotten to her. She tries to seek asylum in Breakbills. As a result, Breakbills won't have her. The headmaster just basically tells her to get the fuck out. And so having nowhere else to go, she rejoins the Beast and Jesus.
And Julia, yeah.
Yeah, she rejoins the Beast and Julia, and
she goes and joins their musical workshop.
Yeah, their musical workshop. And the Beast is still singing in that scene, so it's like great.
And their annoyance at it is just makes so much better.
Yeah, their annoyance makes so much better. I'm sure their annoyance at it is what's making them do it more and more.
I loved when he just teleported to the middle of the street and was singing as he was walking down. Must have been like under a spell where nobody could see him or something, because nobody was looking at him. You know, he's just sitting there walking down the middle of the city, like just singing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but like I said, MVPs of the episode, the Beast and Elliot.
Yes.
Elliot with having to come to grips with becoming the shit king, and the Beast with his musical numbers and gleeful childish ways.
Yep.
Yeah, Magicians continues to be good. It's going quickly. I mean, this is only 2 episodes in. Lots of progress happening. I mean, they're like already basically set to go up against the Beast again, and they're only 2 episodes in. So it's kind of cool. It has to go by quickly. They can't hold off because Alice isn't going to have her power for very much longer. It's going to fade out. But yeah, that was the Magicians. Excited to watch the next episode.
Yep, me too, definitely.
Alright, so now it comes the time of the show we're going to talk about what's coming up in the next week. So by the time this podcast is available, the Santa Clarita Diet will be up on Netflix. So I'm looking forward to this. It's kind of like a zombie suburban kind of thing. Timothy Oliphant, Drew Barrymore. Also noticed, what's his name? Nathan Fillion's on this too.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be fun. Seeing some mixed reviews so far, but who knows? That'll be out by the time this podcast is up on Friday.
That looks like very fun.
This Sunday after the Super Bowl, 24 Legacy. So are you going to watch this? Because I know you said you watched 24 before.
No. I don't think I'm going to bother. This doesn't have Jack Bauer, so I'm not going to watch it. 24, the only reason I watched 24 was Jack Bauer. Like, it was the Bauer Power Hour. This is not the Bauer. Yeah.
I'm going to check it out just because I want to see if it's any good. It's like morbid curiosity more than anything. It's the same reason I'm going to check out the Prison Break return when that comes up. I don't have any expectations. So all it has to do is be entertaining to kind of surprise me. But that's going to be on Sunday after the Super Bowl. On Monday, February 6th, APB comes to Fox. This is another example of like, let's take a guy who's somewhat interesting, this time like a billionaire with like a tech billionaire, and then make it a police procedural.
Yep.
Fox doing it again. Fox being Fox. Then on Tuesday, February 7th, we have Detroiters debuting on Comedy Central. This is another live action comedy series. They've had a few, like Workaholics is ending this season. Detroiters is like a new comedy they have going there about Detroit. And then Imposters is on Bravo. I'm probably not going to watch either of those.
No, me neither.
Neither really has my interest that much. If anything, maybe Detroiters, but I'm probably not going to even bother. Wednesday, February 8th, though, I tell you one thing I definitely am going to be watching, which is Legion.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be amazing. Jesus, too much TV. I can't handle it.
It's all on Wednesday, too.
Ugh, yikes.
I went downstairs last night and started looking through my DVR on what I had to watch. And I'm like, okay, The Magicians was on, The Expanse debuted, on Wednesday. What was it? Man Seeking Woman had a new episode. There's a kind of a comedy, like a cartoon on Comedy Central. It's pretty funny, called Jeff and Some Aliens, that was on. And then now Legion, also on Wednesdays.
Crazy.
It's weird how that happens. How like sometimes TV will be densely packed into a few days.
Yeah.
You know, like Sundays is always like that. Like some certain Sundays you're gonna have like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and like every other like major cable network show is always on Sundays. And it's crazy. But yeah, it's this week or this season right now, it seems to be Wednesdays. Everything's on. But then next Friday on February 10th, David Brent, Life on the Road. This is a Netflix original movie.
Yeah, I heard it already came out.
Have you watched the original Office?
No, I don't like it. I heard this movie already came out in the UK and it was pretty awful, so there you have it. That's the impressions I read. So
I don't know about that either way. All I know is that this is basically a continuation of the British Office. So if you watch the British Office with Ricky Gervais in it, this is his character David Brent.
I'm sorry.
As a rock star.
I'm a fan of American Office. I'd watch a movie about Michael Scott, probably. David Brent, not so much. Yeah.
People have been waiting, though, because I was like years later. I know there's a lot of fans of the British Office.
Well, I heard like one of the problems with this movie is Stephen Merchant is absolutely not involved. And so it's like,
I kind of worry if Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais are like having an out or something, because they haven't worked together on anything in a long time.
That's what I heard. I heard they're on the outs, actually. So.
So that's kind of, that's upsetting, because Stephen Merchant's great too with Ricky Gervais. Then on that same day, Rain returns to the CW, and a new series called The Collection comes to Amazon. I have no idea what that's about off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. But it was on our list of stuff. It was on our schedule. But yeah, that's what's coming up this week. So until then, you can reach me on Twitter. I am at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will on Twitter. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, TVEnthusiast.com. All of those sites, if you visit them, you'll see that we've been updating. We changed our logo. We're redesigning a bunch of stuff on the site. If there's a few things that don't necessarily work as well, that's just because it's WordPress. You change one thing and like 10 things break. So certain things don't work. Don't worry. I'm flushing through trying to redesign everything, and it takes a little time to get everything up to snuff and working again. But the YouTube stuff should all work. Facebook should work. You should be able to read the articles just fine. You can subscribe to this podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel. It is available there. You can get the links on our webpage. If you go to the webpage, you'll see social links in the upper right-hand corner for our Twitter and our Facebook. Our Twitter has basically been abandoned for a long time. I need to rectify that. But our YouTube channel, our Facebook, all that's there, our SoundCloud channel, which is where this podcast is hosted. So yeah, you can check all of that out. Thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more coverage of all